Pop in, say hi. If you've never come into one of my lives before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. And here on Sunday nights, I have a second live show that I do, Chatters Live. And I have such a great crew. They should be popping in shortly. I am on time tonight, so they are probably not rushing to get to the computer or get to their TV or get to their phone. But it only takes a couple of minutes. These guys have been dedicated. Like I said, they've been with me for years, and I have been a YouTuber. I have been here on YouTube for over 10 years now. Pretty exciting. And at the same time, lots of people would say, oh my goodness, 10 years and you don't have a gazillion followers? Well, you know what? It's not the amount that you impact, if you impact at all, because, especially in this live show, this show is for me too. This show is for me to have a little bit of connection with people who actually, right, not necessarily care about me, because people are always popping in and out of my shows. But like I said, the people who do show up for me are absolutely amazing. And because it has been a hairy, scary week that everybody has been, right, probably anticipating what's been going on this week. We're just going to give them a few minutes to pop in before I get into it. But I suspect that they will be interested, and, they'll want to check in on me, right? And that's the amazing people. Everybody should have somebody in their life that checks in on them, right? That cares enough to make sure that everybody is okay. I've been like that person for my family, especially this week. I think I have anyway, right? Maybe in their opinion, it's a different story. But for myself, for the amount that on the norm, I am comfortable in extending out. And also, in getting out of that comfort zone. I am not a big fan of hospitals. Hello, Andrew. Hello, Andrew. Welcome, welcome. How's your week been going so far? I didn't make any herbal tea, but I have been drinking it. Tonight I'm having a cup of coffee. It's actually been my first time sitting down. Well, not my first time, but I haven't been sitting down too much today, even though that was the plan. Hello, Eugene. I'm doing great tonight. I hope you're doing great tonight too. This is my crew starting to roll in now. Like I said, I've been here on YouTube for over 10 years now. And in that span, I have managed to pick up a few people, few amazing, kind hearted. I don't know. I find myself to be more and more grateful every day. It seems a little bit more grateful. This week, super grateful. Hello, Andrew. Busy week this past week. Busy this week too. Classes start at the university tomorrow. Um, Sorry, just getting out a notification there. Uh, the classes at the university start back tomorrow, and I have to get used to having all those people around me. Yeah, Andrew works at a university. In the summertime. He usually has quite a bit of time that, he was telling me, well, he wrote me a letter that came last week, and he was saying, the hallways can be pretty empty, and he feels like he's in his own world when he's at work, and be it working in a university and the kids going back to school. I guess I shouldn't call them kids, right? Young adults going back to school. That sense of peacefulness, right? Lots of people who hang out with me are introverts, are people who hang out on their own, who are creating the best lives for themselves as they move along. But at the same time, like I was saying when I came in, so kind and so thoughtful and have been with me for like some of them for like 10 years. Seriously, some of these amazing people. And you won't find that lots in a lot of content, or when you see somebody who's got 3 or 400,000 people, only a small percentage of those people are regulars. Lots of them, they get a great lesson or have a great conversation or entertained in the moment, and so they subscribe just out of consideration. It was quite common, I would say, about maybe even 5 years ago, that there would be a lot of sub for sub, oh, subscribe to my channel and I'll subscribe to yours, and that's how they would build up their followings. For myself, I in the beginning, because I am a YouTube creator, and I do take in the lessons as a creator, and I know it's how important it is to, don't forget to hit that like button, right? Don't forget to subscribe. But I don't do that very often, only because, well, here on this show, it is just in keeping company. It's just having a cup of coffee together, right? Maybe you're having a cocktail, maybe you're having a glass of juice, maybe you're having bottled water, right? Maybe you're eating dinner. Maybe you're eating a big bowl of popcorn, entertaining yourself with my silliness. Owen's here too. Hello, Owen. Um, in the building, Andrew says, in the building where I work, I've had the entire first floor almost to myself. Now that construction renovation work is ending with the summer, that will be more people around, a lot more universities. It's been a long time since I've been in a college or a university or any kind of school, in truthfulness. But yeah, right, we are not big fans. I would say for the most part, people who hang out with me hang out with themselves and perfectly content. I don't know about you guys, how you feel about it, but I am quite content to be on my own. I today even, you guys, let's get into it. You got a few people here already. Tracy's had her operations. For those of you who haven't hung out with me for very long, you might know, or you should know, that my sister, right, our family has been a little bit of an uphill all the way around. My sister had to go in for a quadruple heart bypass. My sister's somebody who spends a lot of time on her own too. In her job, she's very social. We're all very social in our jobs and outside. But when we're on our own, when we have our own free time, we're usually quite alone. I know for myself and my sisters, we don't spend a lot. Well, my sister Alice, she's a little social butterfly. She's always entertaining people, entertaining herself outside of her house. But for the most part, me and my sisters are very introverted. We spend a lot of time on our own. And for myself, it's a little bit unique because I literally, right, when I go off, I on trips or on vacations, I'm usually by myself. I'm not somebody who, I like entertaining people. I really do, as long as they're interested. And that's what's so special about this crew here, that we're just, right, we're just happy to be in each other's company. But none of us seem to be here to entertain each other. It's to keep company with each other. And there's a little bit difference in that. It's important for us all to be social, and but sometimes life gets in the way. Sometimes those experiences when we're kids, sometimes as adults we have experiences that make it so that we don't really want to mingle, right? We live in a world now, AI learning in this digital age where we've got YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and all these platforms, not to mention the TV and the 6 o'clock news and all the hairy scary that's being pounded into our brains, right? And it's really nice that on Sunday nights that I can come in here and just be one of the crew, not feel like I need to entertain, but in sharing my life, sharing my week, uh, you guys should know that Tracy flew through that operation. She is out already. It's a miracle. She was supposed to be in there for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, depending on how well the operation went. She was out of there in 5 days. She went home yesterday, you guys, and she is so happy. I was going to make her some corn chowder. It's her favorite soup in the whole world. And I was going to make her a big pot of corn chowder. But it seems they went grocery shopping for her and everybody bringing her treats and everything. She said she's got lots of food. So we're just going to hold off for a few days. And in all honesty, and talking about spending time on our own, I was so happy for that. Sometimes when you accomplish big projects and you go, 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 that at the end of that completion, you just want to go and just stare at a wall. That's how I felt. I really, right? I love my sister. I was happy to make her a big pot of soup and go visit her. But I visit her every single day. I spend as much time in the hospital as I could before they would kick me out. And I would take her coffees and muffins and we would just chit chat, and sometimes just chit chatting keeps your mind off of the hairy scary. And my sister, she has that anxiety when it comes to hospitals and doctors and illnesses, not to mention quadruple heart bypass. That's a big one. She almost passed away a few times in the past year. And, as a family and her few friends, right, we came together and she just rocked that experience. She rocked it. I mean, on the outside, it looked like she rocked it, right? In the inside, it might have been a totally different story. But the nurses and the doctors were so impressed with her. It turned out to be a triple bypass instead of a quadruple heart bypass. One of the arteries was so tiny it was like a hair, so they pretty much could have snipped it out, and it wouldn't have made a difference in how she felt or in her recovery. So she came out of that. She took herself off the medication. The next day, she's taking catheters out and right. And they were so impressed with her that they decided to let her go home yesterday. She is doing so good. Literally, it's a miracle. It's seriously a miracle. She even had an experience in that process. She had no idea that it was an experience, but she had an experience in that. So I'm excited to see in the direction that she's going to go in. I was taught, I'm a little bit different. I delve into these topics. Number one, right? I explore the inside and the outside. Inside being emotions and understanding literally trauma, complex trauma to be specific, but I touch base on all of them. I really want to understand emotions. I want to understand human beings, and not only just understand human beings, I want to understand people like me who wake up to some of these ideas, sometimes wake up to the hairy scary of their emotions and the traumas and the experiences that they have. And I love learning about this stuff. I love learning about emotions. I love, like, seriously, I love it specifically for me, for my own wellness, for my own life experiences, in order to sort out a lot of that I had kinked all my life, and to be able to resolve that by applying myself in the lessons, understanding and being optimistic that at some point I may be able to help others, right? And sometimes we just help others by being ourselves. I recognize I am a vlogger. Um, but, my interests are varied. I love history. I love Mother Nature. And like I said, I love emotions, working in trauma. And I'm actually going to be taking a certified course in addictions. It seems a lot of people who wake up to some of these ideas because they were usually born from trauma, from complex trauma, that lots of people have coping mechanisms, whether it's drinking or drugs or pornography or shopping or cleaning, or even, being antisocial, because that actually comes from the experiences that we have, that, right, lots of times we look for that peace and that quietness and those safety zones, and these are all coping mechanisms, and these are all topics that I have learned in this process of doing what I love, right? Sundays, it's just conversations. Yes, the lessons come out in the conversations because this is who I've become now, right? And I have to be genuine in that. I can't just come in and just jibber jabber. Like, it's important for me to come in and talk about subjects that are important to me, knowing that they are important to others and that they're helpful to others, right? But this week, it was all physical. I walked to the hospital. I walked home from the hospital. It's really nice. It's along the river that I walk, and I do a little tree hugging. I do a lot of contemplation as I'm walking to the hospital. Pick up coffees for us, right? And we go in. I go into the hospital. Nurses and doctors are so lovely, right? My sister right away, give me my walker, let's do this walks, right? Because she knows if she can get walking again, that they'll let her leave the hospital, which is exactly what they did. 5 days, you guys, can you imagine? She had a triple heart bypass and was out of the hospital in 5 days. It was all mental with her. I did a lot of research on that operation. It's not like it even was 20 years ago, you guys. These operations, at one point, you didn't have much chance of living through them, and that's the truth. In fact, my father was one of those people. My father had heart failure. He was diagnosed very young, even before he hit his 20s. He never even thought he was going to get married and have children, and yet he got to have all of that. And yes, his life was short, 47 years old. And in majority rules, when he started going blind in his eye, he knew it was the sign that, something major was about to happen. We had a sit down with the whole family, and as a majority, we decided that he was going to have a bypass. He had a couple of them. His bypasses were all up in the necks and in the chest, right? And he didn't make it through the operation. The blood thinners were a little bit too much for his heart and stuff, right? And he didn't make it. But that was a very long time ago, right? My dad would have been in his, oh my goodness, he would have been in his 70s. He was born in, he'd be close to 80 now, my father, if he was still alive. Um, But, he didn't want to be wearing diapers. He didn't want to be bedridden, maybe even, they call it being a vegetable because you don't think properly anymore and because you're usually paralyzed and stuff, right? Because there's a high chance of having strokes. These things are not the way they are these days. There's a 98% success rate these days in, right, heart bypasses. And my sister had a big heart bypass. She had a lot of blocked arteries, and like I said, she almost passed away a few times this year. So, it was in her head. It was in that anxiety. And, for me, working on the inside and the outside. And right, I did a little bit of a job on her, and hopefully it was enough to crack her open. But she won't crack open like the way I did because she did not have a life that I had. My sister was golden child, right? She had, and not like she didn't have struggles because as golden child, you have to live to standards because others have expectations for you. You are the leader in the family. You are the representative of everything. You are in control of everything and everyone. You're the leader of the family, and that's a lot of pressure. Being the oldest, that's something, right? I should have done. I didn't want to, right? I had the experiences I had growing up, and I was traumatized by my experiences, and I was not living the life that I wanted to. Not until I started being a YouTube creator did I really, well, maybe it was a couple of years before that, when I started going camping and started taking back my life and really appreciating what a beautiful world. And we do live in a beautiful world, right? But sometimes we're so traumatized by it that we don't want to participate in it or we're afraid of it. And that wasn't the case for me. I guess that was the butting heads, that's being the spectator and the experiencer in my family, that I had enough experience to last lifetimes and lifetimes that I wanted to live for myself. And so my sister was perfectly happy to be the matriarch in my family, right? And I was happy to be her backup. She was Batman and I was Robin, and I was perfectly good with that. But life gets in the way, don't we? And sometimes we have to face that we are not Batman, we're not Superman, right? We are not the be all to end all. And we get that wake up call to reality, to our own experiences. And, right? And that's unfortunate that that happens. But, when life, you know, delves you and feeds you grapes your entire life, when life is abundant and wonderful and full of magnificence, that when the kinks do come in, and they always come in, you guys, they always do. You can't live a perfect life forever. You just can't. Eventually something is going to seep in and put that wrench into your life, and you're going to find yourself in the mix like everybody else, right? I am grateful that I got my lessons early, that in my adulthood, right? It might have been, oh, it was in my adulthood for sure. My 20s, I just came to life and I lived vicariously through myself. Seriously, through myself, because I experienced every magnificent thing that I possibly could. Not to say that I had an abundant life, because living for myself at that time entailed that I didn't even want to work. I didn't want to, my friend Brian would call it working for the man. He was the same way. And I never really understood. He used to say it all the time: I don't want to work for the man. right? He wanted to be his own person, his own boss. And I never really got that until I finally woke up to some of these ideas. And I guess that was something that he appreciated in me because, I didn't know I didn't want to work for the man, that I didn't want to be tied down by society. Not that I was afraid of hard work. I was a hard worker, always. I was always scrambling. We'll get into that in a few minutes. I've always been scrambling and I've always been working. But for me, the joy of my life, the freedom in my life, the creation of my life, right? Even as a YouTube creator, how odd is that for somebody who appreciates their own company? But it's the idea that, something deep inside of me really wanted, and I would have to say, not just really wanted, but really needed and really cried out to be seen and to be heard because it was something that was never, right, well, to be seen, yes, right? And in my early 20s, to be heard, yes, because by then I had had enough, right? But as a child, I never wanted to be seen because I always thought that, I was obese, I was good for nothing, I was a loser, I was a zero. And, standing out the way that I thought I did, and really it wasn't. It was all projections on me, right? Maybe I might have been a little chubby, but to the standards of being obese, no, right? But eventually, because I felt that way, once I got out of high school, once I got this idea that I was going to live for myself, that I could eat whatever I want, nobody was going to tell me I couldn't. Oh, yeah, right. And none of those problems I had were resolved, right? The only thing that was resolved was that freedom to make choices for myself. It's been a process for me, right? But like I said, I am perfectly happy that my sister is matriarch of the family. She did such a great job, right? I am not controlling of others. And my sister, she likes to be the queen. And I'm good with that. Like I said, I am good with that. But when I saw her so sick and so weak and so afraid, right? When this is not the persona I grew up with when it concerned her, and in the adulthood, like she was always living a fantastical life, not a life that I would want, right? And again, I got the treasures too, right? I might not have had all the money and all the goodies and everything that I wanted in my life, but I did get some of them, right? I got my Prince Charming, even though it didn't stay forever. I've had really amazing jobs that might not have paid amazingly well, though I did on a couple of those jobs. But these jobs I absolutely loved. And if I didn't love them, I'm out of here. This is the person that I was. I right and but money was never important to me. Of course I had dreams of owning my own home and owning some land and having nice cars and an RV. I had these dreams, right? But if it meant taking away my freedom and in building the life for myself that I wanted, I was perfectly fine for putting them on to the wayside. So, just in an explanation, just to show you how dynamic and how different each, each one of us in my family are, and in your families too, right? We are all uniques in our own way, and we should all be able to dictate our lives the way we want to. And I didn't live like my sister, sometimes I live vicariously through her. Sometimes, like I said, I was her Robin to her Batman, right? And I was perfectly happy being her sidekick, right? She go, oh, we're going to do a wedding. Oh, yay! How much is my budget? Because I was the creative one, right? And I would be happy, right? Oh, we're going to have a big backyard. Oh, I'm in, right? What are we gonna? I'll cook, I'll clean, right? And she would just take care of things. But in taking care of things, it made me weak, right? And you guys know it's probably been 10 years now, 6 years, let's just say six years, that I've pretty much been taking care of myself, not relying on anybody else. Grateful, we get deals on rent and figure out the groceries, and I get government bus pass. The government, look at my teeth. They look beautiful. They're all done, you guys. Oh, I'm not a big fan of dentists, right? But I'm happy the teeth are done. I'll keep them really nice. I will never go to if I have to go to a dentist, I'll go to a dentist. But I won't be going to a dentist anytime. Well, I have one more appointment just to make sure that everything is good, and then, but I'm sure there isn't going to be any dental work. So I'm happy for that to be over. But I've been managed to take care of myself, right? And I might not ever achieve any of those dreams, but that's not going to stop me from trying to better my life. This is what I'm doing in exploring the inside and the outside is in bettering my life. So, you guys, Tracy's operation went fantastic. She got home yesterday. She called me this morning and says, I'm not into visitors today. I'm crashing. I says, oh, that's fantastic because I feel like crashing too. But I didn't crash, you guys. I didn't crash today. Why? Well, for me, in the mindset, I understand if you have dreams and you have goals, you have to put the work in. You have to move towards them. And you guys know the teeth were on the goal list this year, but also what's on the goal list every year is my trip. Every September, I go camping, I go hiking, I go digging for crystals. This year, because of my sister's situation, because of my situation, so just not going to put it on my sister, but right, quitting my job the way I did, right? That I didn't really think with my sister's operation, the financial situation that I'm in right now, I didn't think it was at all possible that I would be able to manage to go on this trip. It's still touch and go, but I'm moving towards it and it is happening. It's there is no choice. There is, because I am the evidence that you set the goals and you make them happen, right? You just make them happen. So when my sister got off the phone with me, I says, okay, we are going to start packing today. We're going to start organizing my Rubbermaid containers, my kitchen. I went out. I took care of the cat. I got the extra cat litter, the extra cat food, the cat treats. I'm not quite sure where she's going while I'm away. I'm hoping my brother-in-law Tom will take her because he loves my meatballs. So it's important that my cat is comfortable. If he won't take her, I think I will try to manage to see if I could get somebody just to come in every couple of days and spend a little time with her and feed her and make sure she's got her treats and stuff. I'm really optimistic that my brother-in-law Tom will take her. He's not going to Disney. He's my sister Alice's boyfriend. He's not going to Disneyland with her. He's staying home. And, if he's staying home, maybe he wouldn't mind. I'll buy a fresh cat litter box for him so he doesn't have to have this used one, right? And yeah, my cat would be so happy to spend some time with him. And I would be happy that my cat will be spending with somebody that actually cares for her, because she's my responsibility. I made that choice to bring this cat into my life, and she's still got another 9 years uh, with me at the very least. I was thinking about it today and how old she is, right? Um, but yeah, she's going to be fine, and she's taking care of. She's got and that's expensive. That was probably $40 to take care of the cat for now until I leave, and then fresh bags and fresh boxes of everything to send off with her when she goes on her own little holiday with my brother-in-law. He does it, right? Um, and then I started buying the groceries and the things that I need, the wipes and the paper towels and the potatoes and I like luncheon meat, fried luncheon meat, and oh my goodness, soup and all kinds of things that I bought. Get those groceries out. At the end of this week, I get my government pension, and after I pay my rent, there'll be $100 left out of that, and I'm going to buy the rest of my dry goods, right? Then get that grocery bin full. So at the very least, I'm perfectly happy to live on peanut butter and toast, especially it's been months and months since I've had peanut butter or bread. So it's going to be I have this thing. Well, I just carried on in something that I used to do, right, before I went back on the bread and peanut butter, which I've been off for the past couple of months. But you know, I'd say I could only eat the peanut butter and the bread when I go on trips. And September is a trip. It's the trip of the year. I'll be getting. I'm doing 3 parts, right? I only have my sister's car for a week. She's giving it to me for $600 for the week, and I'll have enough to pay my camping spots. I have the groceries taken care of. Really, I got the cat taken care of. All I'm going to need is the gas money. So I went through everything today, doing the bins, pulling the bins out, seeing what I can take, see if I can downsize a little bit less in the bins because I have to take my big tent this year because I'm not sleeping in the car. I'll be sleeping in my tent. My tent's a 6-man pop up. So I'm taking my tent this year and my sleeping mattress so I can have really, really good sleepies. And her car is not that big. She has a little VW, so we're going to have to downsize a little bit, not take as much. But you guys know I take too much every year, right? I take too much every year. So basically, all I have to save for is the gas. It's only going to be a couple $100. I can do that. I can do that. Still 3 weeks away that I'm leaving. It's 3 weeks away. So I'm going to be doing some listing. I tore through all my closets and my winter bins and stuff, and just to take a look to see what you guys can see. I got a lot of stuff, but for me, it's just the good stuff that's left now, right? Stuff I don't want to part with. Well, I do have things that are listed. Those can go, and anything that I sell between now and when I leave will go towards the gas for my trip. But yeah, I'm going to try and find a few more things, go through my walk-in closet. I did a little bit of that today, but I was concentrating on my camping trip, because it's important when you set goals and have dreams that you have to move with them. You just can't sit in your chair and manifest them, do your affirmations. I am rich. I got a car. I'm buying a house. No, if you don't move towards them, you're not going to get them. If you don't do that work at the very least, like meet God or whoever or whatever halfway, you don't even have to make it halfway. You just have to make that effort to get there, right? Because, yeah, whoever or whatever, God doesn't have time limitations in any way. He can be there in an instant and turn it into a miracle. And that's been happening so much, not just for my family and the situations that they were in, but even for myself. Oh my goodness. Like to even be able to, right? I paid my house bills off. I'm all caught up in my house bills, and that was like $400, you guys. That hurt. And but I'm good now for a couple of months. I am good now until, right, I get home from my trip, and then the money will be flowing again and I'll be able to get on top of things. So this trip is not going to hurt me financially. It was in the plans. I didn't think that I had as much as I did saved up. So, it wasn't just my sister going into the hospital, right? And being responsible, right? But I got to treat myself like I matter. And, I think, my sister getting better as fast as she did, I contributed. She might not recognize that, but I believe that I contributed to a little bit of that sunshine that helped her get home so fast. And you should have seen how happy she was. She was so she was so happy. Let me come into the comments before I get back into it, or let me send some good cheer out to the paramedics and the fire trucks that they get to their destination. And it's a false alarm. Again, if you haven't hung out with me before, I live behind a fire station. So this is nothing new to me, except for the fire sirens. They put new fire sirens on the fire trucks and the paramedic vehicles, and they are really high pitched. I'm still not quite used to them yet. They take me by surprise sometimes. But yeah, I live behind a fire station, so it's something that happens all the time. I'm just gonna come into the comments here for a minute here just to say hi to everybody. And hello, Andrew. Thank you so much. Isn't that great news, guys, that Tracy's good? Isn't that just the best news ever? I am so happy. And just the smile and the relief on her face. It just says everything. She got her life back. She can look forward to retirement. She can create the best life for herself as she possibly can too. She isn't so much of an outdoors lover as I am. I won't be taking her on any walks or camping or fishing or anything like that. That's just not her thing. But she likes her few friends. She likes her family. She likes shopping and, right, hanging out with my sister Carolyn. So she'll have her own life, and we've kind of pulled away. Like I said, I've been living my best life now that I possibly can for years now, and that's not going to change in any way. I'm still going to be creating my best life, and she's going to be creating her best life. It's not like we're not going to see each other anymore. We are sisters, right? And we are still getting together for birthdays and anniversaries and events, right? But I am living my best life, and I am going on my holiday, you guys. I am so grateful. Like, it seriously, I really, really didn't think that I was gonna go this year, and it just worked out perfectly. It was a miracle, you guys. And it might not be as a long a trip as I usually take. It's only going to be for a week that I'm going away. But that week is going to be so amazing. It's going to be so wanted and so needed by my system that, I'm just not going to be walking down the streets here in the city hugging trees. And I'm actually going to be out in Mother Nature. I'm going to be sitting behind campfires and I'm going to, right, camping in my trip. I'm going to be doing some hikes. I'm going to be digging for amethyst. Oh, remember, I got to put some money away for that too, because that costs you to go into the mine and dig for crystals, right? It won't cost me very much. I might not take a big crystal home this year. I usually take one big crystal home and then I just fill up my pail with anything that I could dig or find on the ground, right? But but I'm okay with that. I get to go on my holidays and I get to make content. Oh my goodness, I get to make content for my brand. I am so excited. And you guys, I don't know why it just came to me today. You guys know I have a playlist called Walk with Me, Cindy Jean. It's just coming out with me and going for a walk. And usually I do those with the walks when I do on the trails, when I go camping and stuff. But today I was watching, was it today? Yesterday, I was watching YouTube and there are actually people who go for walks in the city and they talk to strangers and right, they don't call it walk with me, they call it um oh, I don't know what they call it. Can't remember. I didn't I didn't subscribe to my channel, but because I watched it, these videos will be suggested to me for the next few days at the very least, as long as I'm watching them, right? But I got the idea. Why didn't I think about this? Like earlier in the summer, I could have been doing content in the city all summer because I have that playlist, Walk with Me, Cindy Jean, and we have such interesting people, right, in this city. And we're not talking just the higher ups, right? But we're talking just everyday, day to day people who have stories of their own. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to do that now. Little bit different in in wintertime here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. We get to like -40 and the batteries and the cameras and the phone, they don't do very well in that weather. But if I had that, it wasn't even my idea. Somebody else is already doing it. But I was doing it already, right? I just wasn't doing it as a regular series. I was just adding the walk with me's, when I got a chance to get on the road, right? And to come to realize that I don't need to get on the road to do the walk with me's because there are lots of interesting places here in Winnipeg that I could do the walk with me's, right? And so, yeah, I got a new series for my channel. I'm going to try and get one in the next couple of weeks. We're just going to let my sisters settle in, let me settle in. I'm really excited about this camping trip today. I destroyed my house. I was going through my clothes, picking out my outfits, the jackets, and like I said, I got to minimalize everything because my sister doesn't have a lot of space in her car, right? For gear. So I'm going to try and get it down to uh well, try and get it down to as much as I can. Even in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm still going to have a lot. But let's just see how I can compact everything. And yeah, pretty excited to create content. I'm pretty excited to sit along the lakeside. I'm pretty excited to go hiking trails. I'm pretty excited to go digging for crystals. You guys, I never thought I was going to get to go on holidays. I would have felt terrible. The guilt and the shame would have been just right? You guys know that's the steering wheel in my life, right? I had pretty much accepted that I wasn't going to go on my trip this year. And yet, through little miracles going on, that I've been able to stockpile a few groceries and stockpile the cat's needs and stuff, right? That in having a little bit more in the kitty than I thought I did, that I not only was I able to pay my house bills, that I'm going to be able to pay my camping spots and give my sister $600 so I could just rent her vehicle for the week. And I know it probably cost me about the same amount of money to rent a vehicle from a car dealership, but I'm doing another kindness also in giving my sister that 600, because that's spending money for her, because she's going to Disneyland that week. That's why I'm getting the car. So she's going to have an extra $600 to spend on her holidays. And so that makes me feel a little bit better about that too. And plus she'll know that, nobody's going to break into her car because it's parked behind nobody's home, and right, because I'll be on the road, and she knows I take good care of the vehicles. Like when they get their vehicles back, the dealerships, and their dealerships, you can send them back dirty and stuff because that's their job to clean them out and everything. That I take such good care of the vehicle. I take it into the car wash and everything afterwards, and right, you can't even tell that anybody's even driven the car except by the mileage. And I usually put 7,000 kilometers uh, on these trips. This year, I'm not going very far. I'm going as far as Thunder Bay, Ontario. So you can take a look at that on Google Maps if you want to. Just Google Thunder Bay from your destination. And it'll just take you right there, so you can see the kind of area that I'm going to be in. I'm doing 3 parks. I'm doing the Amethyst Mine. I'm going to do another couple of parks that have interesting scenic features about them. One of them is a huge cut canyon, and and another one is waterfalls. And I'll be doing a few of the trails along the highway. I'm spending this year, which is a little bit better than what I did last year. Last year, I did 12 provincial parks in 13 days. This year, I am doing three provincial parks, and I'm staying two nights in two of them, and in one of them I'm staying 3 nights in, because it's fairly close to um, the Amethyst Mine. So I'm going to just stay 3 nights there, and that way I don't have to go too far away, and that will save gas, and that will also save me from reservation fees and taxes and stuff in renting another campsite for a night. Yeah, so pretty exciting, you guys. What do you think about that? Now I'm going on my trip in uh, in 3 weeks on the 14th. I'm leaving on the 14th. I'll probably be driving my sister to the airport that morning, and then I'll be coming home, loading all my gear, which will be ready to go, and I will be on the road myself. Grab myself a cup of coffee, and I'm going to be on the road on my trip. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. It's such a gift. Like, it's such a miracle gift, right? And it's that adding on into those lessons of mine, that you get what you give in life, right? And it's so true. But you really have to give from the heart, right? You just don't, you know give $20 to some charity that you don't even know. Pick the charity, pick something that's important to you. Like in our family, it would be like the Heart and Stroke Foundation, right? Or for children of low income families, or to help in addictions, right? That these would be the things that my family would contribute to, right? But you do it from the heart, right? You meet God, meet whoever or whatever halfway. You don't even have to meet him halfway. Like I said, just start moving towards that, and it will meet you, and it will meet you even better than what you could ever hope for. Wow, to hope for it would have been better to do 2 weeks, but I am grateful to even be able to do this trip. So today I was packing those Rubbermaid containers. I was going through my outfits. I remembered last year that I didn't bring. I brought a jacket, but I didn't bring one of my lighter jackets. And my lighter jackets would have served me well because it wasn't super cool enough to wear the the big heavier one. It was just kind of a little bit uncomfortable. It was a little bit warm, and it was a little bit rainier last year than it has been in previous years, right? And fall started late last year too. Remember in all my videos? Oh, and before I go, you guys, I found the content for one of my trips. Remember, I had problems with my storing all my video and everything. I found Kettle Lakes. I think it was Kettle Lakes, and we'll start the series off of that one before I leave, and then we'll move in. So I'll have four I'll have a whole lot more videos, right? Because I'll be doing my walk with me's and different things. I'll be doing the camping videos, and then also I'll be doing the mining videos and visiting other parts, like I did last year, just tie it all in. I even went into YouTube audio, and I picked eight uh, 8 pieces of music. Every year I try to use just one track, and then for the whole series, it's a way to make sure, because now I've been doing this for so many years now, right? How many Ontario circle tours have I done? I do them every year, so it's important that the music kind of signals, oh, it belongs to this year, right? It doesn't belong to last year or 2024, 2023, or 2022. Isn't that amazing? I'm so excited. I don't mean to blabber off, but it has been a week of miracles, and it's been a week of emotionally, right? Like right now, I should be crashing pretty hard. It's what I wanted to do when I walked up today, when my sister phoned me and says, "Oh, I think maybe, I had my first shower, and now I'm gonna just flake out on the couch with my cats and just relax." And that's perfect, Tracy, because I'm ready for that too. I'm ready for that too. And yet, that's not what I did today. I made myself a lovely breakfast uh, today, and I stayed in. I got my laundry ready, but because the homeless people have been coming into the building, because we get free laundry in this building, and people let the homeless people come in. Uh, there's been a bug issue in the laundry room. And not only that, they are doing laundry for other homeless people. So they're trying a little bit of entrepreneurship. I'm just looking at it like that. They're being entrepreneurs, and they're charging $5 a load of laundry. So they take these garbage bags, like lots of them, and they come into the laundry room, and they hog all the washers and dryers all day, so nobody else can do them. So the office says, that's it. Laundry room is closed at 9 o'clock, because they come in at late at night, right, to do it all. But then we end up having broken washers. Like the repairmen are here every week repairing those washers and dryers, because they don't care. It's not their property, right? And so, yeah, so I didn't get any washers tonight because I was doing my live show tonight. I says, "Oh, I'll just come back in the morning because I always get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I know most people in this building are not up at 7 o'clock in the morning. That I'll have the washers and dryers to myself, and I'll get it all done tomorrow." And yeah, I was going through the my Rubbermaid containers, my winter gear that I had put away and stored and stuff. So for outfits and stuff that I want to take with me, I need to get those washed. I didn't pack my my trolley. This year I've got a big trolley. It's a suitcase kind of thing, a big like a big bag, but it has wheels and the handle. But it's super huge and it will hold my pillows and my blankets and my clothes. And because I have my tent this year, right, I could just set my tent up like a bedroom, right? And it's just gonna be amazing. I'm probably gonna sleep a lot better than I did in the past couple of years. Even though I had amazing vehicles, they weren't quite big enough, you know. My Outlander, I was telling my sister, my Outlander, my Mitsubishi Outlander was perfect to set up as an RV, right? For sleeping in. I was so comfortable. I had lots of space for gear and stuff. But last year I had the Infinity. It was a nice big, it was beautiful to drive. I really love the Infinity even more than I like the Jeep. And I think it's a cheaper, not as an expensive vehicle as the Jeep Rubicon that I took the year before, right? But the Jeep was really beautiful to drive too, but there really wasn't enough foot room for camping. So I decided that we're going to, right, do the tent. Last month, even though I didn't think there was any chance that I was going to be able to take this trip, but right, the lessons teach me to believe, right? So I had that bit of faith that if there was any possible way that it was going to happen, that I was going to put the work in, I was going to still set it, still part of my goal list. I was still going to make that movement towards that. But right, even knowing in the back of my, how are you going to do that, Cindy? Right. So there was doubt. No doubt now we're going on this. Absolutely. We are doing this trip. Still work to do on that. Crucial work, right? Because gas money, you're not going to go too far without gas money, right? So, and you got to have coffee money too. So of course I'm going to have money for stopping off in the coffee shops, but because I'm only gone for a week and because right, they don't have these coffee shops in the in the provincial park campgrounds unless they have one in the ranger station. But I make pretty good coffee, so there wouldn't be any need for me to go to a ranger station for coffee. But if I'm on the highway, it'd be nice to be able to stop into a coffee shop and get a coffee, right? um, yeah. So today was a busy, busy day. I just finished, in all honesty. Should I show you guys what I'm wearing? I only changed my top for the live show, you guys. Honesty, I have been in my pajamas all day. I'm wearing my pajama pants, and I says, "Oh, nobody'll notice if I if I'm just sitting here with my nice, comfy blouse because it is very comfortable. It's a very comfortable blouse, right?" But I had my pajama shirt on all day. I stayed in my pajamas all day. I did that for myself and it was amazing. And it's cool enough now. Today it's only 16 Celsius out, which is, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's very cool outside today. So I got my windows open, I got the fan off, and the air conditioner is off. It's supposed to warm up again, but today, what a beautiful, cool day. And you guys, the wildfires are almost done with. They got them under control with that rain that we had in the past week. We had a lot of rain and they got the wildfires under control. If you haven't been with me for any length of time, Manitoba, Canada, which is where I live. Um, we were we were the most air polluted place on the entire planet for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, the most polluted place, air polluted place on the entire planet. That has never happened. We've had the worst wildfires, they say, in over 30 years. Worst wildfires ever. Um, and yeah, it's all over with now for this season. My favorite Manitoba park, Nopaming, took a huge hit. We lost, oh, can I remember? Four 4 million hectares. 4 million hectares, which is about 2.5 kilometers. Every hectare is a 2.5 kilometers. So 8 million kilometers of wildfires that we had, forests that were destroyed. Yeah, it was so smoky. I couldn't even see downtown on some days. It was just, and I don't live far from downtown. I can walk downtown in probably half an hour. I can walk downtown, and I couldn't even see downtown, and I can see downtown just perfectly today. The skies are blue. It's just beautiful outside. Today would be the perfect day to go for a walk, but I am determined at the very least. I motored today, but at the very least, I did it in my pajamas, that I did it at my pace, and I enjoyed it, right? Because, well, I'm moving towards my goals. I'm moving towards my dreams. I'm moving towards that bag at the end of the stick that I have every year. And that's just a miracle, right? If my sister's operation had been canceled even another week, I wouldn't have been able to go because I would be so nervous just even in her recovery, right? But it's 3 weeks away. She's going to be doing mall walks, guaranteed. In a couple of weeks, she'll be over. She'll be over at the mall herself. She just motoring right now. She's motoring with the walker, right? But by the end of the week, she won't be using that walker anymore. And I suspect in another week, she'll be going out. She'll get house antsy and she'll want to go to the mall or go shopping or do something with her friends, right? So she'll be perfectly good. And I already discussed it with her just to let her know if she's uncomfortable in it in any way. Just to let me know, because I wouldn't go if she was worried that something would happen. I was at the hospital every single day. In fact, the day of her operation, I was the only one there. And it was a serious operation. Not as serious as it was when my dad had that operation. And that's what was so scary for her, right? She was making herself sick, like seriously sick, deathly sick because of the stress. And that story and that realization of what happened to my dad was heavy on her mind and on her soul. But it's over. It's over. It's done with. I'll go over in a couple of days with a big pot of corn chowder for her. It's her absolute favorite. So, and I make the most amazing corn chowder. Well, my mother made pretty amazing corn chowder, but my recipe is, I think, almost exactly the same as my mother's recipe, right? It was one thing my mother did was teach me how to cook. And it ended up being my downfall in the end, right? But not in the end because, right, even right at this moment, I am down over 20 pounds, right? I didn't weigh myself this morning, but I'll weigh myself tomorrow morning. And I would be so thrilled if I got myself in the next digit. I think I was only like a pound away for the past week of being into the next digit of weight loss. Now, once I'm in that digit, I'm good with not losing any more weight. But if I lose another weight, it won't be any more than 10 or 15 pounds. I love having, it's not like I don't mind a well-rounded body, but but for health wise, as we become more mature, not to be obese, but to have a little bit extra on you, because when you're not feeling good, when you're sick, that you actually lose weight, right? And I want to have a little bit in reserves, right? Just in case something happens. But right, I'm so grateful for my good health. I really am grateful. Let me have a sip of my coffee. My throat is getting a little raunchy now. Let me just come down and see if I'm missing anything here. No. Say hi if you're still with me, you guys. But yeah, it's been a really nice day. Today was my first day that I actually got to spend on my own, that not exerting out any energy. Mind you, I'm happy to go for walks every day, and getting those chores done, and also having that anticipation and that excitement that my trip is coming up. Um, And then this morning, oh my goodness, the panic I had today, because I thought, oh my goodness, my trip is off now because I can't go without my desktop. Like I have to have my computer, right? And my computer is dying, right? I don't have very much RAM left on it. And my monitor's been it's just taking forever. When I say taking forever, I got up this morning at like 7:30, turned my computer on around 8 o'clock in the morning, and it wasn't till like 1:30 in the afternoon before I finally got it on. I don't know if I hit a button, because I'm that person. If things don't work, I start pulling cords, which I was doing. I was pulling cords and resetting cords, and I had my computer or my remote here, and I'm going into the menu and I'm pushing buttons and I'm exploring and experimenting. And 1:30 this afternoon, I was convinced. I says, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to buy a computer. So then I went into like Amazon and into eBay to see how much it would cost me, because it doesn't have to have power. I bought my laptop specifically with the specs that he has for editing video. And when I edit video, I have to wear headphones anyway. And so I would have used the laptop if I had to, but it would have been pretty irresponsible for me to go off and treat myself to a holiday and not take care of my basic needs, because I do consider my desktop computer as a necessity. I mean, I'm a YouTube creator, yes, and I can do that on my laptop, but I'm a student too. And, I need my big monitor. I need just something basic, it doesn't need to have a lot of RAM, but it has to have enough that I'm able to have it up in a little bit faster than the 3 hours, more than 3 hours that it took me today to get it going. I was up and down constantly in between doing my buckets, and it was probably the desktop going down on me that gave me the initiative to start packing for the camp. Didn't even think of it that way, but that's exactly true, because I haven't been in the lessons as much, in the past week or so, with my sister Tracy being in the hospital, that today I probably would have spent quite a bit of time online. But because I couldn't get the desktop going, oh my goodness, that's why I started getting motivated in getting the camera gear and getting the clothes ready and getting the kitchen ready and the grocery buckets ready and the car seat buckets, right? Because I'm very specific about which coffee mugs I take with me. I have my favorites. Look at my beaten up Robin's Donuts, I think. Oh no, this isn't Tim Hortons. A beaten up 1990s takeout mug. But I love it. It's the perfect size for me. This when I have a cup of coffee, this is one of my favorite mugs, right? Those little ones are great and they have lots of amazing little inspirational quotes and stuff on them. I like to bring those in for my live shows, but only if I'm looking to have a few sips, right? Like I said, threw on my shirt over my pajama pants and I sat and I says, okay, Sine, you're gonna have a cup of coffee before you do your live show. And yeah, I sat here for 20 minutes, just kind of skimming through content and enjoying my coffee and right starting my live and look at 10 to 9 and I just like been blabbering away you guys on my live tonight and but that's the excitement and that's the coming down from a really stressful, very stressful week. It was the best of times and it was the worst of times, right? Because I had that realization I was going on my trip. I had that realization that Tracy made it through and not only made it through that operation, she rocked it. Like she was a rock star in that and she gets her life back. And the timings of it, like it's still 3 weeks away before I go. So I get to be there through the entire recovery process with her and be that little bit of a support system and motivation and inspiration and right. I think she recognizes that she has an opportunity to create and a magnificent for life for herself if she chooses to, right? Because we all get to make those choices. We all get to make those choices for ourselves and I can only dictate my own choices, right? I like I said, I'm happy to be her Robin to her Batman. Right? I'm happy for that. She's taking good care of my family. And in her taking good care of my family, it makes it so that, well, for me to learn to take care of myself, that I can go off in creating the best Cindy that I possibly can be too. So, how have your guys' week been going? Thank you, Eugene, for popping in and right, hanging out in the conversations with us, right? Life is amazing. I was saying to my sister this week that, sometimes we just concentrate on all the crappy that are going on in our lives and we don't take into consideration all the little amazing things that are happening at the same time. And those amazing things are the things that we're supposed to use and remember and appreciate and be grateful for that helps us to keep our minds off of all the crazy, crappy things that go on in our lives. Because we know that there's always those things going on in our lives. Lives are specifically a struggle so that we can evolve, right? That we are evolving into something amazing, something much better than it was 20 years ago when people had a very high percentage chance of dying through these operations. That right now, where they have a percentage rate of 98%, that right? Innovation is so amazing. The prime ministers and the presidents won't be sending off those congratulatory 100-year birthday wishes anymore because it will be the norm that we reach 100. They say they haven't found the cure, but they found the cause of Alzheimer's. They're on the cure for bowel cancer and they have well they solved weight loss. Now they're doing Ozempic, but they're doing it in a pill form, not in taking shots anymore, right? So you'll be able to go to the doctor and say, "Oh, I need to lose some weight," and you'll go on Ozempic, right? But they're doing some tests too in that because they're saying that it's really hard on the kidneys or the liver. I don't know. They're doing trials right now because there has been some feedback in the medical circles that there has been some issues with the Ozempic and the liver. I think it was the liver. Could have been the kidneys, you guys. But innovation is so amazing. Like we are moving so fast. I actually saw a post today that they say, us going into AI learning and how technology is moving right now. Yes, it's going to take a lot of jobs, but in taking a lot of jobs, there will be a lot of openings and a lot of opportunity to move in innovation that there's a possibility, right? They call it nanobots or something, that we might not have any medical issues through our own entire lives, right? Now, I wouldn't want it to see where people could live forever, right? Like, I set a goal for myself for 114 years old. I thought that was a good affirmation for myself. I do it all the time, but that's all in consideration of my good health, right? And if things were to change in that, well, obviously I wouldn't make it to 114 years old. But in this day and age, it's no surprise that we all know somebody. I know a few people, personally know a few people who are in their hundreds already. And that's amazing. That's crazy. And, you know, I'm happy for my sister. I'm super happy for my sister because she's going to be happy. I just saw the joy on her face. Like for 2 days, yes, it was kind of hell because, they cracked ribs and stuff to get at stuff. But, once they got all the tubes and everything out of her, they got her off the painkillers. She knew she was on the right track to a better health, you know, some health that she didn't really think that she had too much control over. So the few ailments that she still does have, she's going to be on those, right? My sister Tracy's the best post-op patient ever. I am so proud of her, you guys. I'm so proud of her. Hard decisions, they were her decisions. In the end, she didn't really have much of a choice except to ride the waves, to adapt and conquer, and to accept the situation that she did not have control. Because remember, she was golden child. So she was brought up to be controlling and to have every say, to have the last say, to have every bit of ounce of control over not just her life, but in everybody's life around her. And maybe in this experience, I know in this experience, she's already had experiences within the experiences, but within this experience, it's going to change her. It's going to change her magnificently. And I hope, she recognizes, right? She matters too, right? And she'll put that attention to herself in making sure that she has the best life that she possibly can create for herself as she can. And I'm not going to feel guilty in being able to go off and do the exact same thing for me differently, but doing it my way, right? Doing it in a way that shows me how much I matter, right? Okay, you guys. The weather here in Bloomington has greatly improved, much cooler and much less humid. What a relief. Summer isn't over yet, but a temporary easing off has been very nice. Well, you know what? You're 100% right there, Andrew, only because, with this cooling of the weather, it will trigger the trees to say, fall's coming. So maybe when I get on the road, it'll be much more colorful than it was last year. There wasn't a lot of, I go the same time every year, and I go in the fall, in the middle of September, every year, specifically because I love the smell of fall. I love the colors of fall, and being in Ontario and being in the mountains, right? Uh, yeah, there's nothing better. Yeah, I create the best. I couldn't create a better holiday for myself than my Ontario trips. I'll be doing the Ontario trips my entire life. Even if I moved to a different country, I would still do the Ontario trips. Okay, you guys, I'm bagged tonight. Thank you so much for coming into my live, you guys. I so much appreciate it. It's good news. Isn't that good news? This week, lots of good news. And you know what? I'm going to keep moving towards it. And yeah, we still got the gas money to do and the coffee money to do, right? Those couple of extra attractions like the digging for crystals that I want to, and it's all going to come together. I know it is. You guys, that's my good cheer. And it's not even a good cheer series tonight. That's my Monday to Friday, but it's so full of good cheer. I couldn't help but say it, right? That's my good cheer for tonight. I'm going to make myself a nice hot cup of coffee now. And I truly am going to sit in my chair, right? Take my bra off, put my pajama top on, and continue where I left off before I came live tonight. You guys, see you next week. It was so nice, you guys. Thank you, Owen, Eugene, right? Andrew, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being such a great support system. Thank you so much for all your prayers. I know you guys were praying for Tracy. I was telling Tracy, I says, oh my goodness, people who follow my content on YouTube, they're all praying for you. The few friends that I have outside of, right, my life here, they've been praying for you. So thank you, Shelly and Miles and Stephen, right, for those beautiful prayers. And for the people downstairs who keep asking me, how's your sister? How's your sister doing? Right? Because they all knew she was going into the hospital. Thank you guys so much. It worked. Thank you guys. See you next Sunday. If you want to pop in to what's my good cheer? I'll be back in tomorrow, sometime tomorrow, whether I do it earlier or a little bit later. I don't have any plans for tomorrow. I'll be probably making that soup for my sister. But other than that, I think maybe tomorrow, no, I'll probably be back into the camping, right? You got to move towards it. I got goals, you guys. I got goals. Oh, and I got that video that I have to edit. Maybe I'll work on that tomorrow. That would be a good project to do. Okay, you guys, that's it for tonight. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much.